And my dad thinks I'm difficult.
Have you ever considered boarding school?
With The Flash coming out soon and the Tomorrowverse heading to Warworld, potentially maybe getting answers with Constantine soon from the House of Mystery, now is as good of a time as any to go ahead and rank all the entries within the DC animated movie universe again. I haven't ranked all of them with House of Mystery. I haven't ranked all of them since Apokolips War. So let's go ahead and rank all these again, starting with number 17, Wonder Woman Bloodlines. This movie commits the biggest sin of them all, and that's that it's boring. There's not an investing character to me. None of the action is that good. It's just a movie I can do without. I don't really have anything good to say about it. Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor weren't terrible. I do like the connections they make to Apokolips with the beginning fight on Themyscira between Wonder Woman and the Parademons. But other than that, the movie is pretty bad. So moving on to number 16, Reign of the Superman. I believe the biggest fault of this movie is the villain. Cyborg Superman is an extremely boring character. I don't care about Hank Shaw whatsoever. Lois is pretty good throughout the movie. She's good in all of these movies that she's in. Superman is pretty good once he comes back. I love his look with the long hair and the black suit. I don't really care about any of the other Supermans. I think Eradicator is the most badass of them. Still is alright. Superboy can get on my nerves at times. I really enjoyed the one Justice League scene in the movie. It made me chuckle.
I have the shot.
I say take it.
That's enough.
The Darkseid stuff felt a bit forced, like they were rushing to get to Apokolips War, which they kinda were because they knew these movies were about to end. I don't think the film is horrible, but it is lacking in a lot of aspects, especially the antagonist. Moving on to number 15, Son of Batman. I have an entire video talking about this movie, so if you want to hear more in detail, check that out sometime. But this movie is not very good. I think Deathstroke isn't as capable as he should be. He's not as much of a physical threat as he should be, although he does kill Ra's al Ghul at the beginning. He doesn't look like a threat when he's facing Damian, who is a 12-year-old kid. I don't care if he was raised by the League of Assassins. Deathstroke is one of the most formidable and capable characters when it comes to fighting and combat in the DC universe. So I'm just kind of disappointed by his portrayal in this movie. I think he is much better in Judas Contract, which I'll talk about much later on this list. It's probably the least I like Damian in any of the movies, but the Bat family stuff within the film is overall pretty good.
I have a kid here. Says he's your son.
I'll be right there.
At number 14, another film I have a video on, Justice League War. I think the coming together of the team is handled pretty well. The Justice League as characters, I really enjoy. There's some really good character moments in there, especially with Batman and Green Lantern. Batman and Superman have some really good stuff. Green Lantern and Flash have some great stuff. Wonder Woman has some great stuff on her own. When she tries ice cream for the first time, that's always a moment I remember in the film.
Ice cream is wonderful!
Darkseid is what drags the movie down for me. I really don't like how Darkseid is handled in the movie. He just doesn't seem like the threat he should be, and he doesn't seem as intelligent as he should be either. He's much better later on in Apokolips War. It seems like this is a trend with villains. Early on, they don't really get it right, but ones that do return, like Darkseid, like Deathstroke, they get better later on. They correct their mistakes just a bit. And of course, these animated movies being limited with the runtime, that does kind of hurt it as well.
You weren't concentrating.
You won't do that again.
Unless I want to.
Number 13, Batman Bad Blood. I have a video on all 4 of the Batman movies within this universe. I do really enjoy seeing Dick Grayson don the cowl of Batman. I enjoy all the Nightwing stuff in this. I think he's by far the best character in this movie. It's the most I like Damian in any of these other than maybe Justice League versus Teen Titans. And Apokolips War, Damian is kind of just a little shit in every other movie he's in. Damien. I don't really understand Talia's motive in Bad Blood at all, though. It kind of comes from out of nowhere, and it feels like they were just kind of like, oh, we gotta bring Talia back because she's a thread that connects to Damien, and this is a trilogy of Batman movies dedicated to Damien. But anyway, if you want to hear my more in-detail thoughts on that movie, go check that video out that I was speaking of earlier.
Fight it. Yes, you can, damn it! For the little boy who lost his world in that alley.
Enough!
Moving on to number 12, Justice League Throne of Atlantis. Finally, a movie where my main problem with it is not the villain. I think Ocean Master, voiced by Sam Witwer, is actually the best part of this movie. He's one of the best villains in this entire continuity, if you ask me, and it's unfortunate that the Legion of Doom thread that was teased at the end never came back, because I would have loved to see his Ocean Master return. As for the rest of the movie, I thought Aquaman was okay. I really liked the origin story of Aquaman once he was actually Aquaman after Orm murders their mother. He's okay. I don't love anything else to do with him, really. The Justice League altogether were pretty okay. I didn't really love any of them other than Cyborg in this movie. I think Cyborg got all the real good character moments in the film aside from Aquaman. And other than Ocean Master, I think Cyborg struggling with his humanity and holding on to that, not wanting to lose it, because him being human is all he has left. And although he does end up sacrificing I believe the body part was a kidney, it didn't really matter because, like he says, as long as he has his heart and his brain, he's human enough. It's really emotional stuff, and it was handled really well in my opinion.
At this point, I'm more machine than man anyway. As long as I have my brain and heart intact, I'll be alright.
Number 11, Justice League vs. Teen Titans. I really enjoy the limited time we get of the Justice League as a team in this movie. I wish we'd have got more of it, of them not being possessed by Trigon. I really love that Batman takes himself out when the Justice League is being infected, because who's going to stop Batman other than Batman? I really like that Damian is the Titans' trump card, and he's the one that knows how to stop Superman. He's the one that has access to the kryptonite. I really like the establishment and the foundation of Raven and Damian's relationship in this movie. That's a relationship that we'll see continue grow, and I think it blossoms beautifully, because by the end of this thing, I am an absolute fan of that relationship, and it's a relationship I adore. Just imagining Batman as Raven's stepfather is amazing. The little moment of Cyborg with the Titans is fun, referencing his time with them in the comics, of course. The Damian and Blue Beetle fight is pretty good, although the fighting within the team can be a bit too much for me at times, which is why this movie ranks this low, if I'm being honest. Because outside of that, this is a good movie. This thing is fun, it's got good fights. They defeat the Justice League way too easily, but whatever. Damian standing up to his dead grandfather Ra's al Ghul in hell was an amazing moment in this movie.
Have you forgotten your heritage? You are an Al Ghul.
No. I'm a Titan.
Moving on to number 10, Constantine, the House of Mystery. The most interesting aspect of the film is the questions it raises for the future and where Constantine lands in the Tomorrowverse, and if that Constantine is this Constantine who is from this original timeline and would really be the only character to overlap between the DC animated movie universe and the Tomorrowverse, so it'd be interesting if that's the direction that this is going. I don't take much enjoyment at all out of seeing Constantine die repeatedly, being killed by close allies of his and the ones he loved in his life. It only being done to him because he feels it's what he himself deserves, however, is a heavy, deep, emotional thread that benefits the short as a whole.
You are unwilling or unable to confine your failures in the past, even when those who died forgave you.
And I really enjoy the scene where Constantine plays all three demons that want his soul in order to escape the House of Mystery and confront Spectre once again before Spectre decides that the universe itself will decide Constantine's fate, which is what we're waiting on the answers for.
You sold your eternal soul. Twice?
Course not. I sold it 3 times.
Number 9 is Suicide Squad Hell to Pay. When I initially watched this film when it was first released, the Reverse Flash reveal was genuinely shocking to me, and that's one of the last times I can recall being surprised in one of these movies. I love the callbacks to Flashpoint and how they connect it to Flashpoint. The entire plotline of the card is a bit silly, but I guess it was their way of bringing the Reverse Flash back. It's something for him to go after and something that would actually benefit him, but the Reverse Flash, Deadshot, Bronze Tiger are really the only 3 good characters in the movie. I don't even really like Amanda Waller in this movie. Harley Quinn can get very annoying, Killer Frost is okay, and everyone else is just kinda there. Vandal Savage, who was initially the main villain of this movie before the Reverse Flash is revealed, is a disposable character, and overall the movie just doesn't have too much heart, and a lot of the humor doesn't really land for me personally. The animation in the movie isn't bad or anything. The characters overall just lack a lot of depth. Next on the list is Batman Hush, which I've talked about multiple times in the past. Has a lot of great things in it, but there's a lot of bad that drags that down. I think the film has more good than it has bad. The bad stuff is just really bad in this film. The Riddler is disrespected a little, and that cannot be forgiven. Batman not straying away from his moral code is something I really like, though. I like the Batman and Catwoman relationship in this movie than I do in a lot of other animated movies that it's been showcased in, or a lot of live action movies it's been showcased in even. Seeing the blue and gray suit was awesome, and them actually giving an in-story purpose for it was pretty cool as well. They didn't really have to do that. I really like the Batman and Superman fight, although the line that Batman is not a good person is still terrible. I don't care if it's in the original comic.
Deep down, he's a good person. And deep down, I'm not.
And I don't think very many of the villains in this movie are that memorable. And if they are memorable, they're memorable for the wrong reasons. Moving on. Next on the list, Justice League Dark Apokolips War. The movie had balls, that's for sure. I didn't love seeing the heroes we grew up with ripped apart and brainwashed the entire movie, basically. It was a weird movie to end the continuity on and the ongoing universe that was the DC animated movie universe, but the core group of characters was interesting. Etrigan being over everything was great. He is the most relatable character in the film to me, personally. Darkseid versus Trigon is pretty great. Seeing those two giants collide was something to behold. Batman versus Damian was very heartfelt and emotional.
Go to hell.
Disappoint me.
The Raven powers is kind of a cop-out, but it doesn't really matter anyway. Like, if Damian stayed dead, none of it would have mattered because Flash had to reset the timeline, obviously, which is why we're still asking questions today. The Suicide Squad was incorporated pretty well into the movie. King Shark could get on my nerves at times, although the past relationship that Constantine had with King Shark was pretty funny to me. And Lex Luthor being a member of the Justice League, it's still the weirdest thing ever. On to number 6. Constantine, City of Demons. None of the demons aside from Nergal were very interesting. The city of Los Angeles being a living entity was odd, but I kinda dug it. Chas forgetting Constantine in order to get his family back is absolutely heartbreaking. Overall, the magic in the film is pretty cool. Constantine's spells are always pretty intriguing to me, and Constantine being haunted by what happened with Astra makes him a deeply tragic character. I love John Constantine in all of these movies. He's one of my favorite characters by far.
What happened to Astra?
She's somewhere in the bowels of hell, screaming your name.
Kicking off the top 5 is Batman vs. Robin. I don't love Damian in the film, but he finally starts to come around by the end. The Dollmaker prologue to the movie is fantastic, and it's a perfect setup to the rest of the movie. Talon and the Court of Owls are the strongest Batman villains in this entire continuity. Nightwing is once again great in these and plays well off both Damian and Bruce. All the moments with Alfred is always great in each of these movies as well. The Batman vs. Robin fight isn't anything spectacular. It's more of the emotional battle throughout the film, which is a thing with all these movies. The final fight between the Bat family and the court is very good, and Talon forcing himself onto the blade opposed to Damian murdering him was the perfect ending. The movie felt like a natural progression of Bruce's and Damian's story. At number 4, Justice League Dark. The opening to this film is absolutely incredible. Random citizens perceiving everyone else around them as demons is a terrifying thought. Just think of if you saw an everyday person that saw you as a demon. That isn't an ex-girlfriend. It's just a very intriguing premise. It grasped me like a good movie should.
What have you done?
I think the first half of the film is excellent. It's very good. It's paced well. I think the second half, not so much. The second half drags a lot more than the first does. Dr. Destiny in this movie is not the strongest villain. I like Destiny a lot more in the Justice League episode Only a Dream. I fucking love that episode. It's one of my favorite of the show. But in this movie, not a great villain based on the backstory. It's cool that they connected it to Etrigan, whatever. I wasn't big on Etrigan in this movie. I liked him a lot more in Apokolips War. I loved Constantine and Zatanna in the film. I think Batman's involvement was terrific. I think he was incorporated extremely well. He doesn't overshadow Constantine nor Zatanna, but he is a terrific character to have in there. Deadman's also great. He plays well as the comedic relief character, if there is just one, because of course Constantine's always kind of cracking wise remarks as he does. Richie is a little bitch that got what he deserved, and the Justice League in this movie don't really do anything. They're all there at the beginning, the opening, which is amazing, the setup to the film, and then Batman's like, I gotta go find John Constantine, and Batman is the only Justice Leaguer we really see for the rest of the movie until the end, when they are possessed by Dr. Destiny, because of course they are. Yeah, I kinda hate that the Justice League get possessed in this scene, because we kind of just saw it a year before this movie was released in 2016 with Justice League vs. Teen Titans, and Batman was also the only one to not get possessed in that movie. What the fuck, guys? Last thing I want to mention about this movie, Alec Holland being ripped out of Swamp Thing was so grim, but Dr. Destiny just pulling Alec Holland through Swamp Thing and separating the two it's insane to me that you put Swamp Thing in the movie just to do that, but holy shit.
Back to the dirt.
Where you belong.
Oh yeah, I always forget about Felix Faust in this movie. Look, the stuff with him and Zatanna is pretty great, but I've already talked way too long about this movie and have 3 more to talk about, and I refuse to speak of the monster that was in the hospital in Justice League Dark. Number 3, Teen Titans, The Judas Contract. Deathstroke is incredible in this movie, such an improvement from Son of Batman. He is extremely intelligent and formidable. Not one of the Titans on their own stand a chance against Deathstroke in this film. Nightwing and Robin's relationship is great in the movie. I really enjoyed Dick's and Damian's dynamic. Nightwing and Starfire are great together. I really love their relationship in this movie, and seeing it blossom throughout this universe is pretty nice. The flashback scene at the start of the film does great, both at introducing Starfire and showing the audience how much the team has changed, whether it be through members or maturity. Not the biggest Tara or Beast Boy fan, I do feel bad for Tara as a character though, and it's not shocking that she kills Slade in the story after being strung along all this time. Brother Blood and Mother Mayhem are okay villains, but mainly plot devices for Deathstroke to have a legitimate reason to target the Titans in the film. I enjoyed the glimpses into Jaime's family life before being abducted by Deathstroke. Raven didn't get a ton to do, but understandable enough seeing as Justice League vs. Teen Titans was essentially her and Damian's movie. Also, it's clear that Deathstroke's only personal grudge is with Damian in this universe, so the two and Dick being the main three characters in the film, aside from Tara, makes sense and is the right call. Deathstroke's death is handled pretty well overall, and Miguel Ferrer's Deathstroke performance is just one of the best villain performances in any of these DC animated movies, and it's a really great performance overall, so it deserves major credit.
Inside a month, I'd have you bringing me my pipe and calling me Papa.
Slade.
Runner-up is The Death of Superman. It's the best adaptation of the story. Superman is extremely likable in it. Superman and Lois is an investing relationship because it's done right. The Superman and Wonder Woman relationship that they were exploring beforehand was terrible, and it took way too long for them to get there with Lois. The Justice League is incorporated into this movie perfectly. Even when Supes is just Clark or mostly off-screen and most other members were facing this monster unlike any they faced before, it is unequivocally a Superman movie. There is no other that is capable of defeating Doomsday as one or even as a team. Superman is the only one up to this task.
Where is that monstrosity?
South. Heading toward Metropolis. We need you, Clark.
As for Doomsday, he's exactly what he needs to be, a hulking, raging monster that only understands how to do one thing: kill. The fight does not hold back, and as a whole this film is animated extremely well. The battle between Superman and Doomsday goes for a decent amount of time, but every second is thrilling and epic. Superman's death is really emotional, and the intensity of the fight, added with the cuts of Lois throughout, really add to the movie. Wonder Woman vs. Doomsday is badass. She at least being able to hold him off until Superman can get there is so incredible to me.
You may resist the lasso, mindless creature, but my hero, you will fall!
And I'm so happy to see Wonder Woman respected like she should be in that regard. She's literally the next best thing the Justice League have after Superman, and that's how DC needs to treat her more frequently. There's a reason these two and Batman are the Trinity after all. Death of Superman was great in pretty much every aspect, and I really wish Reign of the Superman was to a closer level, but nevertheless, I'm very thankful we got this movie.
There's a reason why I'm so secretive, and I think you deserve to know why.
And?
I'm Superman.
And at number 1, Justice League The Flashpoint Paradox. It started the entire continuity of films and nothing ever quite topped it for me. The line from Barry's mom in the beginning is the entire basis of the film. He for sure knows what she means by that now, I would hope.
Accept the things you cannot change, have the courage to change the things you can, and have the wisdom to know the difference.
Reverse Flash is the best villain in any of these movies. He's such an arrogant asshole that knows all the right buttons to press when it comes to Barry. I love seeing the rogues in the pre-Flashpoint Justice League briefly before Barry fucks up the entire timeline. Barry seeing his mom again is sweet, but also a bit tragic of course given circumstances. The war between Atlantis and Themyscira is intense, and although it's already elevated with that, Aquaman having a live nuke in Captain Atom is horrifying, and all this just opens the mind to a multitude of possibilities given any important character's circumstances were different. Like Aquaman and Wonder Woman have literally started World War III, and this world is dust by the end.
That's the beauty of all this. I didn't do any of it. You did.
Aquaman is good and well in the movie, and I guess he is more right than Wonder Woman is in all this, But Wonder Woman is just so brutal in this story. She not only murders Mara, but beheads her, hangs Steve Trevor with her lasso of truth before his neck just snaps, murders a child in Captain Thunder, who is the Flashpoint version of Shazam, then she kinda owns Aquaman before he destroys the entire world with a kill switch. Thomas Wayne Batman is absolutely badass. Other than being wealthy still, he's pretty much the opposite of what Bruce is as Batman. Martha becoming Joker in this universe is such a smart and twisted detail that just adds to the event that is Flashpoint as a whole to me. Barry delivering the letter from Thomas to Bruce is a perfect ending to the film. Seeing Batman shed a tear is such an impactful moment that pulls at the heartstrings.
You're one hell of a messenger. Thank you.
It's a shame that Barry doesn't get a ton to do in most of the DC animated movies as a whole. This is still very much his movie, and putting yourself in the character's shoes is a very effective way to view it. The Flashpoint Paradox gets pretty much every beat right. It's a highly emotional film that displays a drastically different and broken DC universe with fleshed out characters of its own. It is the perfect dark mirror to the DC universe that we know and love.
You'd be amazed the monsters this world can create.
So that was my complete ranking of the DC animated movie universe, every entry from worst to best. Let me know what your favorite is down in the comments below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.